Welcome back everyone to the fourth episode of my Otomo campaign on Shogun 2 Total War. The video may seem a bit different than previous ones. I'm having to record this as a post-commentary as I was having difficulties with the microphone while recording the last video. But I'll try and do my best. As you can see, I'm just checking out the siege around Toshuki. As we saw in the last episode, we're finally starting to outnumber them when the Sagara turned up in large numbers to assist us with the taking of the battle. Just looking at the numbers now, we have about 6,000. They have about 3,000, I believe. Not about roughly those numbers. So got a good chance of winning now. The battle, the computer reckons we've got the overwhelming advantage via the bar. Just checking our priest. I was bringing him up to try and wreak havoc in the enemy strongholds to the north. Because, well, if we can cause revolts up there, we could try and that'll make things easier for us. We can also try and do the same to the Sagaran stronghold. They only have one town, so a revolt there would probably put them wide open for us to attack. It would definitely put them in a bad position. But yeah, as you can see, I was just going over the various different things, check out the trade routes and the different towns. While we wait for my past self to click the end turn, I'll just explain what our plans were. Other developments. We're just waiting for the Nanban quarter to be complete. That's only got a few turns left to go. Trying to make various other modifications that will improve the economy. We're just going into the end turn now. When we get the Nanban quarter, we'll hopefully start producing a decent navy. In the last video, we got a bit of severe mauling off the Oichi during a naval battle. Hoping to get the Portuguese Tersos as well. They'll provide a very big advantage in battles with their melee and firearms. As we can see here, I've just got to the battle. I did do the battle manually, like myself. The Sagarans had two armies, one fairly large army and one army of just one unit of troops, which predictably didn't last all that long. I will leave a link to skip the battle, for those of you who don't want to watch it, but I will be doing the battle myself. As you can see, I'm just saving. I haven't had any freezing problems since the last episode, but I have been just being careful in general. So I'll just go into I'll wait for the battle to come up, and I'll see you in a minute. Welcome back, everyone. As you can probably see, we're on the same map that we've generally been fighting battles on, or that last battle where we camped up on the mountain. So you should be probably a bit familiar with the terrain. In this battle, because I had more matchlock infantry and we had reinforcements coming in, I decided to fight more of a traditional pitched battle. Large, flat terrain. More like the battles in Empire Total War. That's how I like with long lines of firearm and ranged infantry. Got the matchlock infantry at the front. Got archers behind them, just so you can fire over their heads, and obviously that will make them more effective because you can have two lots of units firing. Got the melee troops in the middle, but most importantly, we've got reinforcements coming in with more melee troops. Because I did suffer in the other battles from not really having much in the way of melee troops. Firelock infantry are quite good, but matchlock infantry are quite good, sorry. But obviously they're not very good in melee. You can just see my general turning up. I have no idea why, but the unit card showed up as a white bar. I don't know if it's because we didn't have wonder if it's because he came in as a reinforcement, but not entirely sure why that happened. Matchlock and melee infantry is just starting to turn up now. They'll be put into the line in a minute. I'll probably have to skip parts of the battle, because mainly, you can see on the map there's that one Sagaran unit that's just turned up, and well, as soon as they got into the battle, the entire enemy army just made a beeline for them, and it they ended up with them spending about 10 minutes just marching around one end of the map to the other end of the map, and because we're all in, the main armies are in the north, but because they all went after this army in this one unit in the south, it ended up with them being all over the place, and they spent ages reorganising their army. So I'll probably skip that part of the battle. You can see now I'm just sort of forming up the lines, so that's all going well for the moment. So I'm just gonna keep that going for a minute. I mean, well, I can't stop it because it's all post commentary. I'm just gonna check. We just were checking on the Sagaran unit at one point. They didn't really do much in the battle. They just got wiped out pretty much straight away. But I think I did go and check on it at some point. There's the main Sagaran army. They sort of formed one or two lines and then just sort of marched straight forward through that pass by the mountain where I'd been camping on. And the enemy just sort of marched, did the same thing. The AI went a bit weird, like it couldn't tell. Oh, there's the one Sagaran unit. But as I was saying, the enemy army AI went a bit weird. It seemed to think that the mountain, which was impassable, but also the hill next to it was impassable. So they sort of funneled all their troops into this narrow pass, even though the right hill was passable. And I don't know, they all just ended up getting funneled in this small narrow pass and getting quite badly mauled. And yeah, obviously it didn't go very well for the enemy. But yeah, there's the Sagaran unit just about to be engaged. Like I said, got wiped out pretty quickly. Probably gonna skip part of the battle at this point because like I said, I don't want to spend 10-20 minutes just watching the enemy army moving about. So I'll see you in a minute when we've got to the actual action. Hello everyone. Through the powers of editing, I've managed to get us to a point in the battle where things are not quite started to, hasn't quite started yet, but finally starting to get somewhere. The Sagaran armies marching towards the enemy army, Shoney army. They've sort of split their armies into two at the moment. You can see what I was talking about earlier, funneling themselves through that narrow pass, not taking advantage of the hill to their right. Especially weird considering they've got archers who probably could have benefited from being on that hill, but they're sending up just a few infantry, mainly Yari Yashigaru and bow infantry, one samurai retainer unit. But as you can see, the enemy are just, the Sagarans are just easily outnumbering them. I mean, they're not even going to cause much damage on their own. I mean, they're just being sent in piecemeal, which is just going to result in them all being wiped out ridiculously quickly. But not going to stop them. Well, can't stop them. I mean, if the enemies, but if I could, I'll let them do that, get themselves wiped out. I was kind of hoping they'd cause some damage to the Sagaran army, so I could maybe make a quick beeline to their capital and knock them out of the war. Because I mean, they're sort of not allied with us, but they're against the Shoney. But I'm going to want to deal with them at some point anyway. So would have been nice to have them, maybe both armies, mauled in this battle. So you can see the enemy army, the Shoney army, is also just starting to advance up to our army. I've sort of reorganised my battle lines a little bit. I had to reorganise them again. Had my army at the wrong angle, as you can see here. So I'm just reorganising them to get a better field, draw a better field of fire on them. So just trying to do that now. The enemy army's starting to approach pretty closely now, at quite quick speeds. I'm still trying to faff about getting all the army sorted out. Trying to have not too many not trying to have them too deep in ranks, because otherwise the ranked fire ability might not work. I mean, I don't know if it works like Empire Total War, but I think you only the first 3 ranks could fire, so I'm trying to keep it down to about 3, maybe 4 at the max. Ranks deep for the matchlock infantry. just bringing my archers and melee troops around now to intervene if they are needed. I mean, the matchlock infantry do cause quite a lot of morale shock, weakens the enemy morale, which usually makes them break quite easily. But if the enemy doesn't break, then they will quickly make my matchlock infantry pay quite dearly in melee. So obviously I want to keep my melee troops ready to intervene if they needed. Just hoping we'll be able to get our forces formed up in time. I mean, the enemy are quite far away, but still just a little bit worried that we might not get there in time. Oh no, I think most of them are pretty much in place. Just getting the melee troops a bit further spread out. The enemy are getting quite close now. Just waiting for them to get in firing range and then, well, open fire and hopefully kill most of them. Just going to put my general in the middle where I can use his inspire ability. The enemy are starting to close in quite quickly now. Just waiting. Just got to wait now. Waiting game. And they're just entering range now. And will my troops open fire? Have they opened fire yet? I can't quite see from this angle. Oh, there they are. They're starting to open fire. Set these troops up there. Right, the whole line's starting to open fire now, causing hopefully quite a few casualties. Archers should be joining in, so that will help keep the enemy, well, not suppressed, but losing forces as they get nearer. Get my melee troops ready to intervene. Gonna have to start pulling my matchlock infantry back to form a new line once the enemy's melee infantry get too near. Right, they're quite close to my matchlock infantry now. Right, they're starting to reach my lines. The general, yeah, he's got his inspire ability on. I couldn't remember if I turned it on or not. It's gonna I ended up wheeling these ones round to sort of shoot the enemy's flanks. I should have done it earlier, really, but just sort of forgot. But that's gonna take them a little while to do. And while they're doing that, the enemy could quite easily send them forces at the back to try and deal with them. I'm not sure if you can see on the mini-map, but the Sagaran seem to have dealt with the enemy quite quickly. I mean, I can only see one unit on there. I think the white blobs are units that are routing. I'm not entirely sure, so I'm guessing. But if those white blobs by the Sagaran army are right, then there will be the them routing. Oh, we've just gone over to check it. They seem to have dealt with them quite quickly, and they seem to be doing quite well. So let's hope they can deal with them quickly. Like I said earlier, I was hoping the Sagarans would suffer some casualties so I can deal with them later, but that doesn't seem to have happened. Some of my infantry are taking some losses, have to be pulled back, but I forgot to put guard mode on some of them, or skirmish, or I might have actually turned skirmish mode on some of them, so if they start running about, that's why I haven't, just the AI acting a bit weird. I had to send my general in to help deal with some of the last ones, just to get them routing, finish them off sort of thing. Matchlock infantry are doing their bit. Just sort of dealing with the last few enemies now, really. I'm pretty sure this is quite close to the end of the match, or the battle even. Just reforming my lines in case, because if something bad happens, I want to be able to deal with it quickly, have my men in their positions ready to fight. Most of the enemy seems to have broken and run, or been killed. Not really much left to deal with now, just got to wait for the Sagarans to finish off the last of them. Just deal with these last few enemies. See matchlock infantry firing in the distance. And there we go, seem to have dealt with them ones quite quickly. Right, they're starting to rout. Get some of them as they run away. Because we don't want to deal with them later on. As you saw in my first battle on here I got a morale victory, which was good because I won, but not very good because the enemy basically lived to fight another day. I mean, I held the battlefield and kept the siege, but wasn't really worth it when I lost something like a quarter of my men and they only lost. Well, they might have lost a quarter of their men, but well, no, I think they lost like a fifth of their men. So I still ended up basically losing and having to retreat anyway. And there's the end of the battle. Now I usually just end the battle because one, I've only got one general to chase down the enemy, and two, because I think unlike other Total War games, pressing end battle on Shogun 2 just auto-calculates enemies being killed while routing. So as you can see there, we did quite well. Didn't lose all that many men. Still got quite a few thousand left. The enemy army's been completely wiped out. Just checking who got the most kills, but I think that counts from the Sagaran army and my own, so we can't actually tell who's who, other than the matchlock infantry, really. And guessing which general got the most kills. Well, guessing which general is which, because there should only be 2 or 3 of them. But yeah, we did quite well. I think the unit that lost the most was that Sagaran army at the unit at the beginning of the battle that sort of entered the battlefield in the middle of the enemy's main army. At this point, I was just checking over the various unit cards. I mean, remember, I thought I was recording this and like the narration as well, which turned out to be wrong. So if I sort of hang around on certain pages, that's why. I ended up peacefully occupying the settlement. Where was this? I ended up attacking one of my ships again. Blockading one of our ports. Sorry. Just going through the unit turns, and I'll just let that carry on. So nothing much happened in that turn. We got the we finished that mission in good faith by building a chapel. Gave us Word of God, which I believe gives us bonuses for conversion. And a new mission, build the Namban Quarter, which will give us Portuguese tersos, which, well, we're already doing the Namban Quarter. We're only like a few turns off of it. Although now we'll get Portuguese tersos for free out of it, so that's good. What else happened in the turn? I've got to wait for my past self to click it and see, before I can comment on it. Oda were destroyed. Can't remember where they were. Yep, just moving my armies about in the settlement. I was going to try and start a revolt in Hygo, the Sagaran capital, because they only have one province, but they moved their armies back there too quick for me to do anything. It would have been cheap to do it, but I think they would have probably won, and well, I wouldn't have been able to take advantage of the situation. So, just going to focus on the Shoney's last settlement, really. We're sort of converting them to Christianity, so while my priest's waiting there, he'll be doing some good. May have done a naval battle at this point, I can't remember. If I did, I will show it. Probably end the episode after that. But I think I did do a naval battle. It wasn't all that interesting. I mean, I'll leave a link for you to skip the battle if you want to. It was a bit weird. I mean, it wasn't really a massive climatic battle. It was just sort of chasing the enemy ship around as they just sort of sailed away, started sailing in circles. But I'll show the battle anyway. So we had the deployment, but it was in good weather, so kept it at that. I will try and talk a little less for this bit for the battle, because I'm sort of editing this on Movie Maker. I completely forgot, but the narration sometimes drowns out the background noise, so I will try and talk a little less for the video. As we can see, there's just one boat in the enemy navy, Boat Cabella, we have 2 ships to deal with them, the Matchlock Cabea and the trade ship. Trade ship has quite a lot of melee infantry, and the Matchlock Cabea obviously has a lot of Matchlock infantry. So one's good. The Cabea is good for ranged, and the trade ship's good for boarding. Just going to speed it up a little bit while we get into range of the enemy, because it took quite a long time to sort of sort out the deployment and all that. So we're just getting near to the enemy at this point. The Matchlock Cabea is quite a bit faster than the trade ship, although the trade ship does have sails, but the Cabea have got the oars for moving quite quick in this sort of air, in this sort of sea. Because, well, it's good for short bursts, but I suppose long-term sails are better. Right, oh, we just started opening fire at the enemy ship, so I'll be a little more quiet if I can. At this point I sent my trade ship in to try and board the enemy ship, but as you can see in a minute it's going to quickly descend into a bit of a runaround trying to capture the enemy ship. I was getting slightly frustrated at this point in the battle because the Matchlock infantry was spending forever to actually reload, which was kind of annoying. They do a lot of damage with when they're firing. I actually nearly sunk the enemy ship at, just through the Matchlock infantry, which I thought was a bit odd, but well, but we did. I'm not going to complain about it. It just seemed a bit of an odd thing, although the enemy bows are doing quite a lot of damage to my actual crewmen, killing quite a few of them during the battle. And this is the point where it quickly turns into a bit of a runaround. I tried to board the enemy ship and it just constantly kept sailing away. I couldn't catch it with my trade ship, and my Matchlock Cabea was just unsuited for boarding action because I haven't got many melee troops. So we ended up in a weird situation where we couldn't really do anything to the enemy ship because we couldn't get near it to shoot it because it would sail away. We couldn't get near to board it because it was faster than my trade ship. And it just, I may speed it up a bit in a second because this went on for absolutely ages. So yeah, I'll speed it up in a second. I'll speed it up now just so you don't have to go through the boredom of watching a 10-minute chase or how long it took. As you can sort of see here, and one other problem I had was some of the pathing was a bit weird. I think in the end I had to manually tell my Matchlock ship to actually stop and fire because it was just, it wanted to go to like weird sort of positions to fire, like maximum range, like the furthest it could get while still being able to fire, which didn't really make a lot of sense. But yeah, I've just slowed the gameplay down a bit for to normal speed while we're shooting at them. I don't think the chase ended here, so if it starts up again I'll speed it up again. Caused a few casualties on the enemy ship. Like I said earlier, I'm trying to edit this on Movie Maker, so I haven't got the biggest screen, and the actual gameplay was quite about a week ago. I've had a lot of revisions, so I haven't had time to do the narration of this until about now. So just trade ships started getting near at this point. And then the enemy boat Cabea decided to troll me. Basically, I got right near to it and then it sailed off again and leaving me in the dust to continue the chase. Although we started causing quite a few casualties to them at this point. Right, because the trade ship has some archers as well. Not many, but there we go. starting to run away again, forcing yet another chase to try and catch up with them. Just gonna speed it up a little bit again while we've got another chase going on. This chase wasn't as long, but still, it took about a minute or two to finally get to some sort of firing position. Or not. Well, we've got the trade ship still chasing them. I managed to get my matchlock infantry, ship to stop in front of them. So finally managed to get some shots into them. Should just see them firing it now. At this point, I was wondering if they were trying to ram me, but as you can see, they just sort of sailed past. But I think they slowed down a little bit. Not really sure. But they do seem to have a habit of doing this, just sailing right at me and then turning at the last second, like giving the appearance of going to ram. Don't know if you can just see in the green bar at the top there, we've taken about a quarter of their health, well, hull damage, damage bar down. Of course, quite a few casualties among them. Can't read it properly, but I've killed about, I can't tell if that's 34, 24, I think it's 24, I'm pretty sure. But so we've caused quite a few casualties to them. I've still got my trade ship coming in to deal with them. My matchlock infantry should be reloaded by the time, well, in time to get one more volley off. Yep, there we go. Oh, yeah, it was 24 because now it's 19. All right, the enemy's starting to run away at this point. Trade ships getting nearer. Hopefully their bows will join in a little bit. I'm not entirely sure if they can while sailing, actually on the move, but if they can, that would be quite helpful, or would have been quite helpful. Right, they're sort of, I don't know if they're slowing down because I've killed all the rowers, or it's a bit weird. They don't actually seem to have rowers. It just sort of seems to be powered by, I don't know, power of belief or something. I mean, I can't really see any rowers on there. I mean, there's only like one guy on the starboard side, so not sure how they're moving the oars there, unless they've got people below deck or something. Although probably have just got people below deck, or that don't count as crewmen or something. Right, so what happened I'm trying to remember what happened at this point. I think we're quite near the end of the battle. I mean, I think at this we just got one more volley off and managed to kill a few more crew, damage their ship, get them to surrender, that sort of thing. At this point we're just sort of starting to swarm and surround the enemy. Still getting quite a few shots off. They're down to single digits in number of crew now. My trade ship's getting nearer to them. They seem to be stuck in, well, they did seem to be stuck in the water, but no, they've shot off again. Hopefully we can get one more volley into them before they get out of range, even if we just kill one crewman or something. And that was the end of the battle. I think I just ended it because I could not be bothered to carry on another long-winded chase, but the enemy lost their ship, so we won in that respect. Well, we won in all respects. Didn't capture it, which was a shame, but still not too much of a problem. Sent my trade ship. Oh, I didn't send my trade ship. I tried to have them repaired. I thought the port had been damaged, but it turns out I just left my ships outside the port, but not outside. Well, outside the port, but like basically in the same sort of place they would be if they were in the port. So I had to. Well, it took a minute or two to work that out. Then sent them in. Then I had a bit of a derp moment, sent them in one at a time, and but I managed to get them in, get them repairing. I'm pretty sure. Had a bit of trouble trying to select the proper place for a few seconds, but just getting them repaired now. I think it was pretty cheap. Oh, I accidentally brought up the Steam thing by mistake. Started. I can't remember if I was doing the recording quite late. Because because I did sort of make a few little mistakes like that as I was recording. But just then I just started improving stuff like trails, improved irrigation, because we want to get more food stockpiled. We want to be able to move our troops around quickly, and it helps to improve region wealth, which will improve taxation, which will get us more money. I did leave things like schools and all that to be built later, because I didn't want to. I think I ended up going for school rather than magistrate, or oh no, school was the original one. Magistrate was the library. That's what I ended up. I'm still going to go for library, I think, in the next episode. That has better results for improving technology research rate. Anyway, I think they've been narrating for about 30 minutes now. We've got about 15 minutes worth of footage left. I'll probably use that for the beginning of the next episode, because I've been doing this for about half an hour now, and I don't want the video to drag out for too long. I'm sorry I had to do it in this sort of fashion. I'll try not to make any mistakes like that again, because I don't like doing it in Movie Maker, because it kind of ruins the quality of the sound a little bit. Usually I just record it all and then just use Movie Maker to edit any bits out, and yeah, just that sort of stuff. But so I'll try and avoid those sort of stuff next time. So thank you for watching. Leave feedback. Leave a like if you enjoyed watching the video. Subscribe if you like watching my channel and watching my videos. And hopefully I'll see you next time.